Okay, turning to business news now. Stephen Carroll is with us on set. Stephen, you've been looking at the economic consequences of these agreements between Israel, United Arab Emirates and Bahrain.
Yeah, that's right. Now, there isn't precise figures available for exactly what we expect the economic benefits to be. The Israeli government has talked about billions of dollars in boosted trade as a result. Now, up until now, there has been some trade between Israel and the United Arab Emirates, but it was being done in secret. There are a number of key sectors where both sides will be keen to do more business, as Catherine Viette now reports.
Economic development as a bridge to peace. That's how Israel's Minister of Regional Cooperation has described the new accords with the United Arab Emirates and Bahrain. As Israel and the two Gulf nations agree to normalize relations, new opportunities in a variety of sectors, including energy, tourism, technology, and agriculture, are opening up. Economists say the deal makes sense on many levels.
In terms of collaboration, there are many strategic threats that both Emirates and Israel are facing that are much more common than their differences. So we don't see, for example, a reason not to collaborate around cyber.
Israel is hoping to attract Gulf investment into its technology sector, while the UAE and Bahrain are keen to take advantage of Israeli know-how regarding water desalination and recycling. Groundwork is also being laid for a surge in travelers, with direct commercial flights to the UAE expected before the end of the year. Israeli media is reporting the Abu Dhabi Department of Culture and Tourism has instructed hotels to be ready to serve kosher meals to guests. In the future, the economic benefits from the accord could dwarf the current combined trade with Israel's two other Arab partners, Egypt and Jordan, which accounts for just over $800 million. The Israeli intelligence minister projecting trade with the UAE could reach $4 billion in 3 to 5 years.
Well, next, Stephen, to the latest on TikTok's troubles in the US.
So US officials are now examining a bid from the tech giant Oracle to partner with the Chinese-owned video app. It's not an outright sale. Instead, Oracle would become what's known as a trusted technology provider for TikTok. That would mean that it would manage US users' data along with the company. The US Committee on Foreign Investment will now review the arrangements to see if they allay fears over national security that had been raised by the Trump administration. Now, the app's Chinese owners, ByteDance, have always said they never shared information with the Chinese government. ByteDance has a whole different app for Chinese users called Douyin, which has hit 600 million active users in August, a 50% jump since the start of the year.
Meanwhile, there are some signs of growth in China's economy.
Retail sales rose in August. That's the first time we've seen that happen since the pandemic struck at the start of the year. Until now, spending had remained sluggish despite the virus being largely under control in China. Factory output rose as well last month. Oxford Economics saying the recovery in China is now on a reasonably firm footing. Let's see how that went down on the markets in trading today. In Asia, we did see a boost to shares in Hong Kong and in Shanghai a little bit earlier. Some falls, though, on the Nikkei in Tokyo, but the Shanghai Composite up by 0.5% and Hong Kong's Hang Seng up by 1/3%. Markets will be watching central banks very specially this week, particularly the US Federal Reserve, which begin its 2-day meeting later today. In Europe, shares starting the day in positive territory. Mining companies seeing gains. Perhaps that might be linked to those positive economic figures coming out of China. Shares in the French car maker PSA also up 1% after the company reviewed the terms of their merger with Fiat Chrysler.
And finally, Stephen, a former Facebook employee has warned of the scale of disinformation circulating on the social network.
Now, Sophie Zhang worked in a Facebook team which is supposed to root out what's called inauthentic activity on the platform. She wrote a 6,000-word post which was circulated internally on her last day at the company. It was seen, though, by BuzzFeed News, among others. It has been reported that she was fired from the organisation, although we don't know exactly why. The letter from Sophie Zhang describes multiple blatant attempts, this is her words, by foreign national governments to abuse the platform on what she described as being vast scales. She says the company is playing whack-a-mole with fake accounts, trying to deactivate them as they're spreading misinformation on the platform. Her letter raises questions over how well Facebook can police bots or automated accounts on its platform, which is used by more than 2.7 billion people. In response to Zhang's post, Facebook says it regularly removes coordinated campaigns and has a large team working on security. Eve.
Okay, Stephen, thanks a lot for that business update.